This time again in English. My guest is Ianka fleerackers. She's an expert in personal branding and thought leadership. And this is one of the topics that we're going to talk about. Also, she is mentioning that she's writing her ninth and a new book, which is coming to be published towards the end of the year, around October. Enjoy this hour of Ianka fleerackers.
Welcome to What's on Your Mind with Peter Snowart. Every week, a guest talks about his or her story, and that story can inspire you to change your own. Here's Peter.
Ianka.
Peter.
What an honor to have you here. Thanks for taking the time.
Okay, it's my pleasure. I'm happy to be invited.
I don't know if you remember it, but it's not the first time that we had contact.
Yes. And sorry to say, but I have forgotten our first contact. It's because I saw it in our DMs in LinkedIn that we've met each other before. And I thought once again, Ianka, why is it so hard for you to it's not forget people, but it's so hard for me to remember faces, to remember names when I only meet people once or twice in a certain context. And I think that's sorry.
No. I think that's human, and I think our brains are designed for like 150 persons, because we're used to live in tribes. Mm-hmm. And then more than that, I think that's the
Yes.
one of the explanations there.
Yes, I agree. But for me, I think it's normal that you can't remember everyone, especially when you didn't have a really close relationship or didn't work really closely together, and life happens. So there's a lot of input. There's a lot of things that are happening in our lives. But people often meet me and they do like this. Oh, Ianka, hey! And I'm always figuring out, should I know this person or not? Because it looks like this person knows me. And what is the case? Did I really connect with this person before or not? So I'm always on the lookout for, am I making a mistake or not? How is this person knowing me? Because I was standing on stage or on TV, and did I made a kind of mental connection with this person, but not really. Yeah? So that's always difficult to find out. And I have some strategies. I try to figure that out. But most of the time, there's some people that are really disappointed that I can't remember them. But yeah.
It happens also to me. And I don't want to hurt their feelings. At the same time, I mean, because of we are doing now this remote, and of course there is a change of energy when you're doing it physically, also in terms of connection. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have met people online for a couple of times, and in real life, they were just passing by, and I never noticed them.
Yes.
And it's not my intention that I didn't recognize them, but sometimes I don't know your height, for instance. Mm-hmm. And so for me, and then people are like, hey, Peter. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, okay. So I feel sorry for them, and it's not my intention, but it's their disappointment, to be honest. And so,
and especially when you only see someone from his or her profile picture, that's always 10 years younger than in real life. That's often the case. And then I say, you don't really look like your profile picture. And then, okay, that's no problem. It's okay.
Yeah, but I'm okay with that you didn't remember me. We only.
But tell me why? How did we met before?
It was 6 to 8 years ago. It was via phone, and we were talking. Then you were giving public. I was looking for a public speaking coaching, and there were not a lot in Belgium. There were not a lot
No.
at that time.
Yeah, at that time, yes.
Yeah. So it was you I had contact and Elisabeth van den Berg. And then we had a phone call and that was it. So that was the contact. So for me, there was nothing. My assumption was not like today, yeah, Peter, how you doing? No. I'm like, no.
That would be weird.
Yeah.
Because I've only spoken to you on the phone and I didn't even see you.
Yeah.
That would be weird. Yeah.
Yes, and that makes, thank you for the bridge, that makes an easy jump to one of your specialties, personal branding. When I started the podcast, my intention was never to build a personal brand. I just wanted to do something that I love. I am very curious, and I wanted to create my own stage. Okay, so and then I invited people, and I love it so much. As a side effect, yeah, you need to sell the podcast online. You also had several podcasts. Yeah, you know how it happens. You create a podcast, and then you have to create some post on LinkedIn, etc., to motivate people to listen, to inspire them. As a side effect, people have and the guests, their voice in their heads, and they think they know you. And that's when the personal brand kicks in. And then you get these very strange situations where people, they think they know you and your life because I just shared something personal and they are very familiar. I'm not like, for me, this is a complete stranger. I have absolutely no idea who you are and what you're talking about. It's very nice. And that feels that's for me, the thing of a personal brand.
Good.
Recognizable?
Okay, that's the question. Certainly, yeah, it's really recognizable. For me, that has always been the case because of my work as an actor. And but that was even more weird because you're playing this character on television, but people start to react on your real life presence as if you are one of the family.
Yeah.
Because you're always there in the most central place of the house, the living room, where the whole family is seated watching you. And in my case, that was people wanting to touch you, to hug you, to tell all their lives, their misery, their happiness. They named their babies after your characters, but they also gave my name to their children. There was even a weird story that one of the babies who was meant to be named Ianka died. And people sent me a mail that happened. So I got a mail, Ianka is dead. And I thought, nope, I don't think so. And then there was this story, etc. So I gave them a book and sent them a card. But that's also the effect of building that personal brand, that you are in the heart and the mind of people because you do something with them, regardless if you know it or not. But your message resonates in a certain way. The way you appear, what you're saying, what you're doing resonates in a certain way. And you're part of their lives. And it's something you need to realize and be aware of, that you have an effect on people's lives.
This is now very awkward because I forgot that whole thing about you in the past because I don't know you like that. I only know you from the last part. So
yeah, that's okay.
Now,
it's always something weird that people or they apologize of being a fan, or they apologize of not knowing my past. People feel like apologizing all the time. That's not necessary. Yeah, it's just a job as well, a very passionate job. But
yeah. Now, personal branding. I'm very curious because my perception is a personal brand. One, actually, you have it even when you are doing nothing. You will have it. That's one thing. And second, you need it as an entrepreneur, as a sales, as a marketeer, as whatever you're doing in business, I mean, a personal brand is crucial. When do you speak that somebody has a personal brand, Ianka? Is that the moment that that person posts his first or her first post on LinkedIn or on Instagram? Where is your definition? Where does it start?
Well, for me, the misconception starts with people thinking they already have a personal brand.
Okay.
For me, that's not correct. And it's not because Jeff Bezos said that it's true. It's what he thinks is, he said something like, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. For me, it's more like your reputation is what people talk about when you're not in the room. And for me, that's a different thing. Because personal branding and reputation is both about perception, how you are perceived by people. And what people say about you when you're not in room is their experiences with you, how they perceived you, so your reputation. But when you are actually doing something about communicating about your reputation or the way you are or your messages, when it becomes a verb, a process, a strategy, then we're talking about personal branding. Then you're doing the work. But that does not necessarily mean you're already a personal brand. The personal brand itself is a status. That's the moment that what you're putting in the world to accelerate, to expand your reputation has a real effect on people, and you are steering that reputation. You are moving through a place where you want to be, then you have a personal brand. So what I'm trying to say is that personal branding, the process, has several levels. And when you become a personal brand, aka known, when you're known of being someone with certain message and a certain way of doing and acting and living, then you're a personal brand. Most people aren't. It's not because you have an account on LinkedIn and you say hi once in a while, or you repost, or you put a picture or not, then you're a personal brand. No, you just have an account on LinkedIn. That's it. Because otherwise you would go to the Naldi of Albert Heijn, go inside and say, hi, I'm a personal brand, just because you enter a room and you start communicating with someone. It's not because you start communicating, you are a brand. No. People can have relationships with you, have perceptions with you, but that's not the work. The work is afterwards. It's when you really start moving towards actions and strategy and thinking, what do I want to put in the world to leave a message, to have an impact? And it's just, people say it's a marketing trick. Who says everyone has a personal brand? And why do people say, already everyone has a personal brand? Why do people say that? Because first of all, most people are afraid of personal branding, especially here in Netherlands and Flanders. So personal branding is something for egos, is something for celebrities. So there's a barrier. So people are afraid of that. So how do you take away that barrier? By saying, you already got it. Why bother? It's already done. So it's the lowest entry level you can get. You already have it. Okay, so already have it. Easy. So that's the first thing. Another reason why people say that everyone has a personal brand is because they want to sell them something. Voila. But I don't think that everyone has a personal brand, and not everyone needs a personal brand.
But you agree on the fact that a personal brand can scale, can accelerate, is essential for, I wouldn't say mostly, but for entrepreneurs, salespeople. I mean, if I now compare myself, and it happened by an accident, and of course I have now a personal brand. There are so much benefits of it that I cannot go back to then I was like, why didn't I start with this thing 5 or 10 years ago? Why I thought the personal branding thing was something for like marketeers.
Yeah.
or like
Yeah.
you said, celebrities
No.
or whatever.
Yeah. Well, it certainly, personal branding is very interesting for entrepreneurs, for experts, even for CEOs and executives and employees. I mean, it is, and it's more important now than ever because people don't buy. I don't buy into employer brands if I don't believe the employees who are in the employer brand marketing strategies. So you need to know who this person is who wants to work with company XYZ. If he is what he's saying about the company, is it really true? And how do you know that? By finding out who this person really is. And does this character resonate with you? And that is personal branding as well. So I think it's very important for entrepreneurs and for CEOs to make themselves known as a personal brand, as a person with an own identity besides the company. So it's different. People tend to mix the company brand and the personal brand as well. They mix them, and you should be aware to keep them separate. Not all the time, but be aware that these are two separate things. But of course, if you start with personal branding, it is phenomenal what it can do to your revenue, with your the way people see you, with the offers you get. For me, even I just launched today on LinkedIn. I launched the fact that I'm writing a book. I've been writing on that book for months now. I've been keeping it a secret, but it goes around. And I started getting keynotes and people were asking me to do this and do that. So today I launched it. I said, okay, finally it's official. I'm writing this book. And my inbox is full. I'm having these keynotes requests so I can start filling up my agenda. And the book isn't ready yet. So it's already working. The fact I'm pronouncing that I'm starting to write a book. That's why I wanted to keep it a secret, because I didn't want to have the pressure of finishing the book. Now it is what it is.
Now, the effect of this, the result of this, is that it took you years to build up this, what you are now doing. It's personal branding, the fruits of personal branding. It's not overnight. And I think also maybe that's a little bit the thing that a lot of people, I just created a post and nobody reacts. And is that people want to have doing something. And it took 10 years that trigger finger became big. And then with a cover of a pop song. I mean, it doesn't happen overnight. And I think that's also a thing with personal brands. You have to start with that one post, with that one thing, even if it doesn't feel 100% you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because it takes guts to show up as who you are. That's also something you mentioned in your newsletter and your post, eh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it shows. Yeah, you have to show guts to be aware of who you are, to find out that you're not that great, or you're not that fantastic, or pretty, or smart, or whatever, and to acknowledge that, and on the other side, acknowledge the fact that you do have some special gifts that are interesting. So you're not perfect, and that is, for me, what makes you perfect. The fact you show that you've got this weird thing going on, that there's something special, something different. And it doesn't necessarily have to be something great. It also can be something minor, something weak, but that's attractive in a way, that's recognizable. Ja, de knock-off noem ik dat. I call it a knock-off. I think that's for me interesting, but that's the actor in me, who likes the non-perfect people are more perfect for me than perfect people. And perfect people are boring. They're not interesting.
Yeah, because I find it very interesting that you mention weak. I mean, it took me, I don't know, 40, 50 episodes. I don't know, something like that. And your publisher called me, Niels. Mm-hmm. From Lano. And he said to me, Peter, my writers really like your raw rock and roll attitude. You go from talking about 15 minutes about trauma, and then you switch to the why do you think Joss Homme of the Queens of the Stone Age is so fascinating to you? And I was thinking all the time, I have an accent. It's raw. It isn't structured. And this was, I thought I wanted to be like, I wouldn't call it Michael Humblev to get he's clean, he's produced, it's everything I'm not. and Neil said to me, but Peter, that's you. You have to be raw. And that's why it resonates with me. And this completely confirms what you said, but it takes guts to own that. Like, yeah, and to be it and to really own that.
Yeah. That's why the title of my book, if I'm able to really choose my title, I think so, is Own Your Story. Because that for me is the real essence of it all. If you own your story, there are a lot of things you can do. A lot of things you can go all the way and change your perspective on things because you own your story. It's normal for a person to change views through your life. To you're obliged to change the way you think about things. If the way you think about love when you're 20s is just the same as when you're 50 or 60, maybe you haven't lived enough then. I think it's normal. You think and rethink. You learn, unlearn, and repeat the stuff again. And that's how we grow. And but if you own your story, then you have this thread throughout your life and this oeuvre that you're creating. And that's fascinating. That's interesting. And people will follow you. And for me, that is the real essence and the goal of a personal brand and even thought leadership. For me, that's the ultimate thought leadership. So I'm working now on making people aware to grow a personal brand. But my real dream is to create thought leaders. That is what I really want. I want people to explore their thinking, to challenge their thinking, and to invite other people to think with them and to change things on their way. That is my real goal. But yeah, every time I pronounce the word thought leadership, I have to explain it, and people reduce it to a content creation machine. I say, no, it's not about content creation. And indeed, we now have a machine AI call, so it's not even that's not interesting. You could write one piece a month and have your personal brand because it has such an impact. So it's not about that. It's not about the good looks. It's not about the styling. It's not about the nice pictures. It's about how you own your story. And if that means a certain style of pictures, it could be. If that means you always say the same things, it could be. But if that's the only thing, people get bored and you're just a trend or a hype that passes. So there has to be some fluidity in a personal brand as well.
I find that a very interesting. Yeah, I find it a very interesting take on the thought leadership. I always thought a thought leader was a person who has lots of expertise and who has the capability to. I know one of your first customers. That's where I know you from. Is Peter Hinsen. I say one of your first. I don't know if it was one of your first. It was of
he was
one
he
of
was
your
the one who made me do this.
Anyway. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Bon, So I mean, if I look at Peter and Eric Ferrat, I mean, for me, these are people because they have a certain expertise, they have a vision, they reinvent themselves, and they add a lot personality and attitude. I mean, if you compare the energy and style of Peter and Rick, that's completely different.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
And then for me, that's the thing that resonates with me, because I always thought total leader was more like a person who has a lot of expertise and has a vision based on the expertise, etc., etc., etc. But now what you are framing is a total leader is somebody with that expertise and who has done the work, who has done the mileage, who is a thinker, a feeler, and most importantly, who formulated his or her own opinion and mixed it up with their own personality and owns that and makes it really human in order to inspire other people, to plant seeds in other people, to reflect.
Yes, correct. I'm going to write that down. But it is. That's why I think of creating a campaign to rebrand the word personal branding into personality branding, because I think it's time to change the wording. It's more for me. It's the personalities. The word personal branding was coined by Tom Peters in 1997, and it was a reaction on the company branding. At that time, Tom Peters, who was a business guru, thought and saw that people within the company should brand themselves. Because it was only a company brand, there should also be a personal brand based on the person. But Tom Peters wanted people to use the same strategy as company brands. And up to today, we still use the same brand strategies for personal branding. I see that happening. People say that a lot. We're going to do this, brand statement, etc. And I think that's not true anymore. The world has changed. We still need a personal brand. The people are more important than the companies, because it's word of mouth. That's how influence travels, through people. But the strategy should be different. Yeah, I think the strategy is different. And the personality matters. And people should work more on their personalities instead of trying to be something out of a magazine.
And is that also not a natural or a counter reaction against the fact that the old, and now I'm going a little provocative, that the old school marketing, you are ugly, you are not happy, buy my products, you will be happy, etc. So that it is all these messaging things in marketing that I mean, we all know it's advertising, so it's marketing. So we know it's for a certain amount not 100% correct. That's and that these days, the more digital we are becoming. You're mentioning the AI movement. Is that that counter reaction is, we want to feel more human, and we want to feel more connected again, and we want to see more the rawness, because that's the thing that you're mentioning. That's what
we have left, the rawness.
Yeah, I mean, because I want to feel you. Yeah, because if I want to buy you, I want to feel you. I want to feel who you really are. Because if you're made of plastic, it will not resonate with me, and I don't want you.
Yeah. And that's why I think it's very interesting in following the hype on LinkedIn. I have this LinkedIn feed full of people who create carousels with prompts and how you can use AI for content writing, etc. And I look at it, and now I'm really bored. It's already boring me. And they all say now you can write your content with the AI, and you certainly can. Yeah, you can, and it looks good. Yeah, but you feel there's something wrong. It looks too clean. It sounds too clean. It feels kind of superficial. So when you read it 3 or 4 times, you think that word is used a lot. In every sentence, this word is coming back again and again and again. So there's no depth in it. So what is going to happen now is all these people who don't like to write content, but they write content because they have to publish, because they want to become a personal brand, they want to become known. They start writing with AI because it's easy, because it's kind of well done. But what happens is that they're just one part of the big mess. They will not differentiate from one another. So the ones who do write themselves, the ones who put their personality in it, they are the ones that go beyond the AI. And they're the ones that are going to be seen and going to be heard. And everyone else will be not interesting. So it's very challenging. And
Yes.
yeah, I like to play around with the AI tools. I like to play around with them to see what I can do with it and how it can inspire my brain to think further. And for me, I like the AI to challenge me, because the results I'm getting from the AI. So I'm asking 3 to 4 questions. I'm asking a question and then I get an answer. Then I deepen my question and get an answer again. And for me, that's the challenge, to think differently, because what I'm reading there is an average. Is an average from all the knowledge that's on the net, and what the AI did something with it. So if I'm thinking the same, then okay, you're not making nonsense, but you're not thinking good enough. You must think harder. And that's, for me, that's the game I'm playing.
Yes, there are 2 things. I think the first one is, in everything you put in the world, you're putting yourself, your personality in. So you leave a little bit. It's like breathing. If I breathe right now, somebody in Germany within a couple of days will, I wouldn't say swallow, will get my breath in. Yeah. So it's a very strange thought, but apparently it's the truth. And so in every post and every song and everything you put out in the world, it's a little bit of your soul. And people feel that in their intuition, if it's fake or not. And at the same time, I also believe that there will be some kind of, after a while, that people can no longer see the difference. And the reason why I mention this is that I believe in the 90s, one of the producers of Cher used autotune in a song called Feel. And it sounds very unnatural. Today, every record, everything, it's all autotuned, guitars, pitches,
it disguises bad singing. That's why.
Yeah, that's true. And the thing is, if the Beach Boys were autotuned, it wouldn't feel that right, because it's those little. At the same time, it's there. It's becoming very standard, and this is also, I think, one of the explanations why the music of today sounds, I wouldn't call it flat, but produced. And so I think there will be a popularity who will be numbed by that. But this creates a huge opportunity for all the art, the other people who will put their soul in it, and because and that will again attract other people. Because the further we go, I think the more human, even the further we go with AI, the more human we want to feel. That's something, I don't know, it's natural in us. And creativity you cannot copy. Sorry.
No.
Never.
No, someone a few weeks ago I had I took part in a session on AI in a big consultancy firm. They invited me to be present and to just experience the presentation on AI. And one of the I gave a comment on something that was said, and afterwards someone said, "Yeah, why are creatives always so afraid of AI?" And I thought that was a very curious opinion, because first of all, we should be afraid of AI because it's huge. We should think about the consequences and the ethical side of AI. We should think about that. It's a major change in the world, like the start of the internet. It will shift everything. So it's important we think about that. And creatives probably do that more than other people, because they're artists, and that's what artists do. Artists think about the world. They think about the future. That's what art is about, to give another view on what's happening, on what they are feeling, to find a way to make people experience that. So that's what creators and artists should do. And second, the second reason I found this a very strange opinion is that the first people who are doing things with AI are creatives. There are a lot of creatives who for them that's a toy. Let's figure out what it can and how we can deal with it and how we can create new art. And what happens is, I saw a result of there was a cartoonist, an artist who created a book, a cartoon with AI. And what happened was that she didn't get a copyright because she didn't created it. So that's interesting, huh? So you say, yeah, creators are afraid of AI, but they're the ones who create new stuff with AI. And when they create something with AI, it's not their creation, it's the AI's creation. These are fascinating questions. I love that. That's why we need to think, rethink, and think again. Learn, unlearn, and repeat. This is fascinating, why people act that way and think that way and make conclusions that shouldn't be conclusions, but another question for the second discussion to have.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. Now, if we're going to go back to the personal brand and the thought leadership.
Yes.
yeah, but it's fascinating. What is then for you the difference between the two, the thought leadership? I mean, of course, it contains a brand because you're talking about levels. Mm-hmm. So is then thought leadership the highest level?
Yes.
And then the personal brand is then below? Okay.
The middle, yeah. So first you have the lower level the entry level is where you become the visible expert. So that's about the professional who starts posting and creates the lowest level of personal branding, but doesn't really need to become known. It's just to lay the foundation for future employers to get to know him, to get recruited more easily. Then we have the expert who does the same, but is still kind of the best kept secret. Now, if you really want to become known, you will enter the personal brand level. And then you have two levels there as well, the entry level and then the level where you really start gaining momentum and you are writing books and you're the keynoting personal brand, you're asked on podcasts, but a lot more. So you are known for who you are. So you've got a name, you have a status. But what happens when you go to the thought leadership side is that there are two, not necessarily levels, because for me they are kind of a different way. You are globally known, but you could be an industry rock star, but more the rock star. Or you are the thought leader. And what happens then is you don't need to publish as much anymore on LinkedIn or be on social media. That is not necessarily the most important thing. You are beyond that point. But your content and your thinking must be of really the next level. That is the most important thing. Nobody is interested in learning how to do something from a thought leader. That's not the task of a thought leader. And that's a comment I hear a lot from people. Yeah, thought leader. I like, you name Peter Hinze. Well, Peter, he always talks about this and about this and this, but he doesn't actually learns us how to handle it. And I said, yeah, and that's okay. That's not his job. His job is to make you aware to curate the things that he sees, to help you look through his lens. And by doing that, he provides work for all the companies underneath that who do provide trainings and programs to make those things, those ideas come to action and fruition. But that's not a thought leader's job.
Yeah, I fully agree. He's more to plant the seeds and to let you do the thinking based of the several things that he combines his experience by the things he learns all over the world. So yeah, I mean that's when I see Peter talking, I have never the reflection, but he's not giving us solutions. No, for me, it's when his last talk of one of his last talks was about the schooling system and about Walmart. And I mean, he cannot solve the schooling system. He's there to how do you say that, to
Connecting
expose
dots.
it.
Yes.
Yeah, connecting dots and to expose it, to make it aware, to create consciousness about it, and to make sure that if he can plant, I don't know, 1 million seeds, I mean, and if people are going to work together and maybe one of them is a very practical doer and he's like, I have a small idea, let's do this, then so it starts, I mean, it never starts with action, it starts with an idea. And that is where the thought leader comes in.
Yeah.
Now, does this imply, Ianka, that there is no shortcut in becoming a thought leader? It takes work and time. Correct?
Yeah, I suppose so. I think even Peter had done quite some time becoming the thought leader, or he became it without even noticing it, probably, because the first time he has this story about he was giving a keynote all over the world, and probably Americans were laughing at him because of the fact he didn't have a book. So he already was a thought leader, but he didn't have a book. So okay, so I'll write one, and that's when it all started. Yeah, as a thought leader, you're supposed to write books and give keynotes and write books and give keynotes. So that's it. That's your job, and do research and find new ideas and plant seeds. That's your job. But it takes time to grow, to feed that beast, that the way of looking to the world, to be in that helicopter and to see connecting dots from all over the world and ideas and how they intertwine with another. I think I love that connecting dots game. I really love that. There's sometimes I'm on that same frequency where I can see and feel things coming up, and I also see when I try to communicate it, that people are not there yet. And then I feel really stupid because I know I have to wait. I was too soon, and maybe I'm wrong. And I've noticed a couple of times that after a couple of years, people are there what I saw years ago, and I said, "Oh, damn, I was right." Yeah, but it didn't make me a thought leader yet. But it takes time to find that momentum and that voice and that presence to stand there and communicate that vision and have an impact.
Is that the term thought leader, is that something that you can give yourself? Isn't that something that other people, like Peter, he's a thought leader. Even Rick Ferraz, for me, a thought leader. And maybe certain people do not agree with me, which is fine. But at this moment, I would find it very strange that somebody says, I'm a thought leader.
So many people call themselves thought leaders. I'm presenting, I'm moderating events with international speakers, and so when I research them to write my little text, often they always call themselves thought leaders because someone else said he's a thought leader, and I'm a thought leader, yeah, great. But yeah, it's something someone else names you. It's a title you get. But I think for me, it's one of the most beautiful words in the world. Leading with thoughts, helping someone to lead with a thought, planting thoughts. It's dangerous as well. There were people in history who planted seeds, planted thoughts in your mind.
With negative consequences.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, I find that very, very funny in a sarcastic way that people call themselves thought leaders. It sounds very, I wouldn't call it empty, but yeah, at this right now, maybe I can change towards the future, but it's, yeah, I don't know. It's something, it feels very strange right now. Going up on the stage, say, hey, I'm a thought leader. It's like, hey, coming up on stage says, hey, I play guitar. Yeah, play guitar. I mean, it's it's like when you're doing the thing, you're the doer.
Yeah.
But you don't say you're the doer. I find it a very strange at this moment. Maybe
but then
it can change.
we have to think about how is this kind of wording embedded in our future.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, I was in Florida attending seminars, and at a certain point, I was really confused, and I was doubting myself of not dreaming big enough, etc. And the person speaking said, "Be aware that you don't define yourself by the limited beliefs of your culture." And I heard what she said, and that really struck me. And I said, "Oh my God, I am always putting myself down, saying, stop with those limited beliefs." I hate the word limited beliefs. It's an excuse for everything. And our culture had so much limited beliefs on entrepreneurship, on whatever. So be aware of that. If you say, you cannot call yourself a thought leader. For me, a thought leader is a status, and you are given that status. You are given that title. So you're not supposed to give it to yourself. But on the other hand, why do we say those things? It's because we're not entitled to put ourselves on a stage to say, hey, I made it, huh? God, I'm good at what I'm doing.
Yeah, and that's why I'm cautious with my words, because it's in our culture, in our Flemish Belgian culture, to keep us small, to think small. And you called it what you were saying with the hoeksken af. Now I'm calling it under the kerktoren mentaliteit, and it's and the people who are popping up in the field with their heads sticking out. Then there is a group of people who are going to burn down those heads or chop it off. So act normal, they say. Then I say, what's normal? And then again, that's very contrary of being yourself for your personality brand. So that will conflict. And that's something I think is a good thing. If we, and now I'm going to go a little deeper, if we have the balls to think big, if we have the balls to be ourselves, really who we truly are, instead of some kind of expectation, personality that created by expectations of the people around us and our culture, and stand in our greatness and own that, I think really that the world would be a much better place.
Yeah.
So but I think, and therefore going to other cultures and thinking like US, where they have a very think big mentality.
Yeah, it was very confronting. It was such a difference.
Okay.
But on the other hand, I'm what I don't like either is what I call the dopamine effect or dopamine mentality. That's where through marketing, through mindset trainings, etc., you are brainwashed to greatness, brainwashed, and you're not. You're pretending to be greater than you are, and not because I want you to feel small. No, there is the other way as well. So we tend to think small, but if you're not aware, you are thinking yourself too big as well. And then it's this kind of dopamine effect where you start writing and pretending you are bigger than you are. It's the fake it till you make it mentality. And I think there is a fake it till you make it because you want to you have to learn to go every day, to try everything a little bit, go a little bit further every day to get a bit out of your comfort zone. So a little bit of faking till you make it is okay. But I see so many people fake it till you make it too big, like a ballerina who's spreading her the spagat. I don't know the word in English. And then you're into trouble because you can only fake it a certain amount of time. And then you're a faker.
Yeah,
you get a burnout. You get into scandals. You get sick. You cannot hold that. And that is what I want to talk about as well in my book on personal branding, but in my coaching as well, is that I know what it was to be famous, to be known by many, many people. And I know what it does to you as a person, what is expected from you. And it's having a real personal brand and becoming a thought leader also requires that you stay true to yourself. And if you fake it till you make it too hard, that's something you cannot keep on going and sustain. No. And I see so many people do things that are too far from where they are at that point in their lives. And that's not healthy.
And I fully agree. But you mentioned a couple of times the word aware. And I think it's really about that awareness. Is it really about at a certain age, you're becoming aware of your ego. And for me, the greatness is really, it's getting rid of those things that are holding you down, saying you cannot do this or you cannot, or whatever, because of your group. That's for me greatness. It doesn't mean that you feel better than the others or that you. So I fully agree that greatness is really, for me, it's really about owning who you really are and showing up in the world as you really are with your flaws and being human instead of some faked plastic version. Because it's like you said, you cannot sustain it. You will go into a burnout and you will be even smaller than you were started because, and I think a portion of awareness and humbleness is really, I mean, the really true fascinating people in every discipline are, for me, the real great experts. They never had any tendency to brag or to show up with their knowledge or their expertise or whatever. They would want to share because they're so passionate about it. And it's like those mediocre wannabes. They were, for me, like the fakers. I don't know if that resonates with you.
I recognize the humbleness that really great people, artists, etc. have. But being, but that, yeah. But being humble is also a facade for a lot of mediocre
Yeah.
personal brands. So it's also an attitude. I'm a giver. Look at me. I'm humble, etc. I know very strong personalities, artists who I know they are humble in their way, but they do have borders, and they are
Yeah,
very
of
clean,
course.
very clear on that. So no, you cannot just walk over to them and ask them X, Y, Z, because it's a border. It's just something they don't do, and that makes them, for a lot of people, arrogant. But they're not. They're just protecting their personal borders. They're human as well, and that is something what is not easily recognized or appreciated. That's the word, appreciated by a lot of people. There is
Yeah, but you're
this
not.
idea of when you are famous, when you are a big personal brand or a thought leader, you have to be approachable at any time. And to me, that's not true. No, there was this issue with Stromae that he refused to give signatures after probably a concert or something because he was tired. Yep, that's not done. As an artist, you should always be available for your fans. I don't think that's true. No,
You're not property, eh?
you're not property. Yes, so being humble should be a real aspect of your personality, and not just the kind of that makes your personal brand looks good. That's not.
Yeah, but
That's
it's the
faking
same
as
with.
well.
Yeah, that's the same. It's, I mean, again, you feel it. What is the attention behind the thing that person is bringing out? And if the humbleness is fake, you will get it immediately. You will like, yeah, but it's like greenwashing. It's whatever. It's like
Yes.
a silver.
Yes.
Yeah, it's, how do you call it? Humble washing, or what I know, personal
I
brand
was
washing.
laughing because they talk about greenwashing AI as well. Everything should be greenwashed. Greenwashing. Yeah, everything should be green. Enfin, ja. Just
Now,
thinking.
one last question. No, two last questions, Ianka. If you're an entrepreneur yourself, if you would restart it, would you start earlier? Would you do this journey, this thing that you are, I would call it even your life mission? Would you do it if you can go back? Would you start earlier? Would you do something different?
Yeah. So, okay. So I'm going to say two things on that. First thing is, my mission in life from when I was a child was to explore all talents that I could find in myself, to do something with them, big or small, be acknowledged by it or not, but just do something. Do something with the things, the talents you are given. So I did that. That's why I have become an actor, a writer, a producer, a director, a journalist, a moderator, an interviewer. I've done it all. So by the time I was in my 30s, now there were a couple of things I also wanted to do, and that was leave Belgium. And I tried to do that several times. And the second time that was serious when my husband and me left for the United States, because he had the opportunity to work with Pixar. So we were exploring the fact, should we move to there or not? And after 2 weeks of traveling from LA to San Francisco, we decided, no, let Hollywood come to Belgium, which they did after a couple of years. But certainly because at that point I was starting my career it was really going good, my career. That was a mistake. We should have left. I shouldn't have stayed. Because the idea I had then was to become a digital nomad, which was a concept that was not known at that time. And I didn't pursue that idea, which I should have done, because would make me a pioneer, and I would have left Belgium. Now, the second, I also knew that at a certain point in my life, I would know that all this acting would end because I didn't want it anymore. The passion would be over, the love would be over. And I would feel that. And I had done 3 years of Flicker, 1 year of a series called Louis Louise, and then another beautiful, beautiful series of a book of Tom Lanois. And at the premiere of that book, I said to the director and producer, this was the last role I'm going to play in my life. I'm quitting. It's over. It's done. And I stopped and I never looked back. But now I realize that I should have stopped 10 years earlier. I should have started in becoming an entrepreneur when I was in my 30s, starting. And I shouldn't have waited until I was 40. But that would mean that my last years as an actor were really good for me. So I wouldn't have had that. But I should have started earlier. Yeah. But that's easy said now. Now I have the knowledge of what I know now and what I've experienced. But I have learned so many things, and I wouldn't have had those things when I was at the beginning of my 30s. I wouldn't have had that. So yeah, it's maybe too easy to say, but I would have, well, would have stopped earlier.
And within 10 years, who is Ianka?
Within 10 years? Nah,
Yes.
Don't ask that question. No. Don't know that yet.
I mean, if because I find it very beautiful that you say, and this is also tied to the humbleness. I mean, it's knowing that you have a zone of genius of certain skills, talents. There's a difference for me between talent and skills. I mean, I'm a little bit talent in playing guitar, but I skilled myself a lot by doing it, and etc. And I know people who are really talented, but they don't do anything with it. They don't have any discipline. So, but the humbleness is really about, that you have that certain gift, and then you can make the world a better place with your gift, and that you are aware of the fact that other people have other gifts which you don't have. Now, would you? I mean, now you're writing the book. I mean, I'm very pretty sure that because I don't know you, but the last contact since 6 or 8 years ago, and then I saw your first thing with Peter. That's the first thing that I remember of you, that you coached him in his public speaking. And I also remember exactly that he mentioned, I mean, when I go on stage and off stage, I want to be alone. And now where you are, that journey, also in June with Michael, you're going to do that LinkedIn event. I mean, I'm pretty sure that as you are a creative person, at least that's my assumption of you or perception. I mean, after the book, I am pretty sure you are playing with new. You want to search your boundaries of who you are and your abilities to see where's that creative space, because you are a II, an Ianka intelligence. That's a beautiful one.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah.
And so, and of course, you stand in your greatness, and there are no limits because you think big since Florida. I mean, what is lying? I think it's a beautiful flow question, to be honest.
Thank you. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you. I think you're right. Yeah. I don't want to admit it to myself or say too much out loud, just like the book writing. By the way, this is my 9th book. So this is not my first book. I've written 8 books, and the 9th one failed. I didn't get it published because I wasn't good at it. It wasn't a good manuscript, so I threw it away. So this is my rainbow book. But what I am feeling now is that the stage is calling me, and the writing is a very important part of my life, and always has been that way. But I have a feeling that this is the path I will be exploring in the next few years. That's the writing, speaking, back to basics, back to the stage, back to the place where I belong. And that the coaching and the training, the thing is that I still want to do and expand as a business model. That will be, I have to try and figure out how I am going to set up a team, etc. I don't know, something like that. Yeah.
New challenge.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I've been a director, but I don't
you...
have built a team yet, so that's a different thing.
Yeah. That's a completely different thing. I can assure you that. I think it's a Chinese proverb that they're saying, I wish you more people. So it's I think it's a very interesting mirror to learn from. Like your relationship with your partner is. I find it it's also a special skill to see who to build that tribe, to work with it, to make sure that the total is more than the sum of the underlying parts. It's a very, it's an interesting one. There's a lot of theories behind it, but in practice.
Yeah, I know. I'm not sure yet. That is something that is really for my personality, but I'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, but that's the joy of it. I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
Ianka, thanks a lot for your time. I wish you all the best. Everybody who is listening, so the 15 million people, buy her book, and within it's going to be launched by the end of the year, I believe.
I think October, November, somewhere there.
Well, look, then I see what your book launch. Maybe we could do another, if it's Lano. I mean, they'll send me a copy and then I'll give it away, and then we can do maybe in the new year and kind of go deeper into the book. All the best.
Thank you.
Hey, it's Peter here. Thanks a lot for listening to What's on Your Mind. Looking forward to your opinions and comments. And don't forget to subscribe on psgrow.com and leave your email address to stay tuned for future episodes. Bye!